Good afternoon, beautiful people of planet Earth and all other interdimensional entities and all sentient beings, and in the Ojibwa or Native American traditions. Greetings to all our relations. Bonjour, Anishinaabe, I think it is. Anishinaabe is their people, their tribe, human tribe. Across our planet, if we were united, we would be one human tribe, how it should be actually. Not a one world government though. I'm not too keen on that idea. Too much control, opportunities for oppression and abuses, but people in their own cultures and languages joining together as one with other cultures and languages across the world. I can see that being actually a positive thing, sharing ideas and value systems and traditions, and it's kind of happening in a way, isn't it? I mean, you go down to any shopping centre and you've got Chinese restaurants and Greek restaurants and Turkish restaurants, all kinds of restaurants, Italian. So everything's around food, sharing cultural food and appetites. It's quite lovely actually. So anyway, Rati's just been and gone, cleaned the house, which is lovely. I do have lots and lots of dusting and polishing to do because she doesn't do that job. And I'm putting it off by reading to you on YouTube. Oh, I'm avoiding my duty, my few duties. It's a big job polishing this house. Too much. It's too much of a museum. But I'll declutter as much as I'm willing to declutter, so I'll just have to put up with it, won't I? Anyway, my anxiety is still quite severe today. I mean, I'm not suffering, it's not too painful, but it's churning and churning and churning. I'm trying to work out what that is, but I showed Rati the lovely earrings I made last Thursday that I worked on for 15 hours, and even she was quite impressed. I said, the gods are putting me to work in astonishing ways, and the muse, the Greek muse, was capable of killing the artists actually. She would work them to death. Please don't kill me. I'm trying to stay alive here on planet Earth. I've already died 15 times. Enough is enough. Am I right? But, eventually it will be one day, hopefully the lucky last time, the 16th time, and it will be, final. So, and when will that event happen? I don't know. The last event was the 10th, night of the 10th and 11th of July last year. So that was quite astonishing, and I came back from that. But anyway, Mama T does what Mama T does, which is survive on this planet. But astonishing even by my standards. But anyway, I'm looking out at a grey, ugly, rainy, miserable, grey, depressed vista. I'm starting to get a little bit of sad, like the British get, with all the constant rain. I'm very sensitive to dreariness. That's why I migrated here for the sunshine. But I can't have sunshine all the time. So I mustn't be selfish, and I must be grateful that the rain is feeding the garden and creating new plants and new growth for all the birds and the insects. And, to be fair, there's sunshine behind those clouds. It's not quite visible, but there's kind of a emanating glow. So maybe it'll be sunny tomorrow. Could happen. And I'll just move through each day as I've moved through every other day on planet Earth. One day at a time, sometimes one breath at a time, one moment at a time. And on that note, we're going to read Chapter 8, Tales of the Magic Rattle and Shaman Drum. He who has ears to hear sees. Joachim Ernst Berendt. It's an interesting idea. If you listen, you are also able to observe and see, sometimes with your inner vision. One of the major, our major prayer in Judaism is hear, as in hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. So even in Judaism, in the Abrahamic faith, it adjures you to hear or listen and pay attention, be conscious of messaging, I guess, coming from the higher realms. Well, I had a lot of that yesterday, did I not? By the gods. That pressure to buy the oxygen tank, it went on all day. And I, very stubbornly, withheld it because I was being professional. I was in the middle of my video with my wonderful YouTube audience and subscribers. To you who subscribe and support me in my quirky ways. And so I completed the video, and then I went and had some lunch and just moseyed on down to Total Tools down at East Brisbane. Got a part because by then it was about 2:30 when I got there, I think. So I avoided the busy lunch trade and avoided the school, after school rush. So it was perfect timing. Sometimes it's good when Mama T is defiant and rebels a bit, by the gods. Anyway, it ended up being fine after all that anxiety. It wasn't all that expensive after all. It was only $60 to refill the oxygen tank. So I was envisaging, because the initial outlay was $179. I was envisaging being a bit of a financial sting, but it wasn't so bad. So then I felt happy about that, and I came home and went, right, I've obeyed my angel that was so demanding, whoever that angel was, and I've used common sense and waited till a more suitable time to go and fulfill their directives. And I've got oxygen now. I even set it up and lit the flame and got it all happening, and it was definitely working. So definitely the problem when I couldn't solder last time was because there was no oxygen going through the line. Definitely works when you've got oxygen to mix with the LPG, thank the goddess. Well, I haven't done any soldering yet, or I'm going to work on that cuff I want to work on. I haven't done that yet. I've got to be in the mood. My muse that works me so hard has to be driving me like a meat sack or a bus. But it'll happen soon because I've got the equipment ready now and primed and ready to go, and it's just and I've got the fine silver bezel, sheet that I'm going to cut the bezel from. I thought it'll be more economical that way, and then I can get the exact size I need without having to order bezel strips in specific sizes, which would have involved me going into AJS and hoping they've got the right size and all that drama. Haven't been in there for a long time actually, because I'm trying to do things my own way that are a little bit more economical too, and just be sensible about things. Although it's a bit of extra work having to cut your own bezel, but I can do it. It's not that bad. Have time, and I have the muse, have creativity, and I've got that angel nagging me at times to do things. Just going to put on the aircon. It's too hot in here. It's humid. Very humid. We're nearly into April when it should cool down, but at the moment, with all the rain, it's humid. odd, isn't it? Very odd. Anyway, did I show you the picture, the little pictogram that they do at the beginning of each chapter? This one shows two shamans, one with a rattle and one with the drum. Sound is the force that brings forth all shapes and being. Sound is the most important and mightiest instrument. Would help if I spoke English. Instrument used by shamans on all continents to shift the perceptual filters, evoke trances, do healings, or to contact non-visible worlds and forces. Well, in my case, they contact me when they want to put a rocket under my tuhas and make me buy things that, anyway, ended up being, okay. Thank you, Holy One and all manifestations. See, ask for what you want. I asked for assistance to be a success in my own abilities and talents and attributes, or in my own right, however it works. And within 3 days I was being pressured about that oxygen tank. So kind of interesting. They're getting me ready for my beautiful life I've been manifesting for almost 60 years. I'm a little bit humbled actually, because it's just a little trivial thing, but it shows that my spirit people are indeed working with and for me and alongside me from the upper and potentially lower worlds as well. They're looking after me, and I feel very happy and grateful about that, because by the gods I need a lot of support to get through this life, the rest of my life, especially if I'm destined to be alone for the rest of my life. I'm going to need an enormous amount of support because I don't have my own partner, don't have much money, and don't have a home of my own. And not having a home of my own isn't so bad because I'll be allowed to live here, I think, until I die. So I'm very blessed in that regard. But just the other struggles, dealing with a world that's forever altered, that I find chillingly terrifying. Very often I find it chillingly terrifying. I wrote a comment on YouTube this morning, but because I used the N-word, the N-word, the political movement that happened in Germany, 1933 to 1945, they took my post down. They're that frightened of speaking to truth about what's really going on with our Brisbane City Council and governments. Driving homeless people away from public parks when there was flooding and there was nowhere for them to go and there's no homes to provide for them, or there might be, but they're not providing homes for them, leaving them to literally die in public parks pre and during and post-cyclone, and then driving them off with nowhere to live, is the N-word. It's fascism in practice. It is actual fascism. So silencing of truth is not going to change the fact that that is what's going on currently in Brisbane, Australia. I'm livid. I'm absolutely livid that that comment was removed, by the way. Absolutely livid. But they did this with the COVID epoch, silenced and shadow banned me too. And it's the purest of evil, because someone has to speak the truth about our lived reality here in Brisbane, Australia, without fear of retribution, without fear of judgment. Well, people judge me anyway. Do you think I care? What are you going to take away from me? My life? Took everything else already 30 years ago, by the way. So the truth gets spoken on this channel. If you can't handle it, don't come to the channel. And if those bots that you've got programmed to remove truth speakers are allowed to run rampant, that's on you, YouTube. You have to deal with that because it's not okay. I'm not lying when I say they're driving the homeless away. It's in all the news channels on Instagram, Facebook, because I don't watch the news on television. I'm speaking the truth of what's actually going on here. So why did you remove that comment? It's an obscenity that you did that. I have spoken. Mama T has spoken. Anyway, let me carry on with my story. Living in other worlds, between worlds, through worlds, under worlds, upper worlds, while I'm stuck here in the middle world with them. Who are them? Those kind of monstrosities that silence truth and allow the poor and the marginalised to be driven almost to death. Open air concentration camp is what it is. Niedermüller's words come to mind. First they came to a trade union for the trade unionists, but I said nothing because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the communists, but I said nothing because I was not a communist. Then they came for the homosexuals, or what we term in modern day society, the LGBTIQ community. Then they came for the homosexuals and I said nothing because I was not a homosexual. Then they came for the Jews and I said nothing because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me. I want you to remember those words. That is exactly what is happening again, 2025 in Brisbane, Australia, including the rise of anti-Semitism, by the way, which is an evil beyond words. Yes, I'm still a Jew as well as a witch and a shaman and a Viking. It's complicated, and no, I don't belong to a congregation anymore because how I was treated very, very badly for a very, very long time. But bottom line, you come for the Jews, you're coming for me because I'm still identified as a Jew. Remember that, people of Earth. And because I have that lived history, my parents' forebears' lived history, surviving the actual Holocaust, I know when I'm seeing the N-word in practice being played out right in front of my eyes. Brisbane City Council and Moreton Bay Council, you bastards. Right. The drum. I'll just show you my drum here again. I showed it to you yesterday, did I not? This one's more ornamental than actually has a very profound sound. One day I'll buy myself a proper shaman drum. It's when I'm not banging my drum to support other people who have been marginalised and targeted by our governments and our councils. I'm banging the drum in honour of the spirit world, which is kind of the same thing really, because it all comes back to oneness. Support for each other, protecting each other's rights, human rights and basic human needs, the Maslow hierarchy of need. Clean water, clean air, housing, clothing, education, freedom of movement, freedom of speech. Am I right, people of Earth? Am I right? The gods, the angels, the Holy One kept me alive through 15 near deaths for a reason, people of Earth. And what is that reason? So I could get old and a bit batshit crazy and even more anarchistic and revolutionary than I've ever been in my life, because I'm old now and I've got nothing to lose. Took everything already off me. What are you going to take from me? It's the only way you'll silence me now, people of Earth, is to actually finally kill me. And even if you did that, still my voice will be heard in all echelons, dimensions, in all lands across this planet, because someone will have seen my videos and will honour my truth and take the baton I'm handing to you, you younger people, and will carry on the war, spiritual war, and the fight I've been fighting since I was put on this earth as a little baby. The truth remains the truth. No matter how many times you dissect it or slice it or carve it up or try and deny it, shovel it under the carpet, hide from it, it remains the truth and it shines like a jewel, a radiant jewel out in the ether for eternity, people of Earth. The drum is the heart of every shaman's work among the peoples of Europe and Asia. I would say not just in Asia either, but in Africa too. All cultures that use their drum for healing practices or for communal practices. And even in America. There are different kinds of traditional drums which are associated with various activities, like fortune telling, healing rituals, capturing illness spirits within the drum, directing a wandering soul back to its place in the body, or supporting the trance state. Of some traditional shamans, we know that the relationship with their drum was as intimate as a kind of wedlock. All traditional shamans consider their drum an embodiment of the world tree, which is their ladder to the upper world. The drumstick is allotted magical significance. It stands for the male force that awakens the drum, which is the female force. Often separate sticks are used for travelling in the underworld and to the upper world. The drums of shamans in Europe and Asia were and still are decorated with pictures from the shamanic cosmology. These drawings depict the bond with the ancestors and spiritual beings. They are often also mythical roadmaps facilitating the shaman's travels. Usually the drums show the triplicate nature of the world. The indication of the four wind directions on the drums often appears as a cross within a circle, which you can see here, kind of forms a star shape, and it's traditionally held between the fingers like that, and bang, that. But yes, you see the cross within the circle represents the 4 directions. This sign in the centre of a drum means in all cultures the centre or navel of the world, which here in Australia is Uluru, formerly known as Ayers Rock. Well, no, let's rephrase that. Originally named Uluru, then renamed by white colonialists Ayers Rock, and now returned to its original, real, authentic language name, Uluru. It's the navel of, certainly of Australia. There are other navels around the world. Easter Island, which is, what is the yes, Rapa Nui. Rapa Nui or Easter Island is another navel, and there's others across the world. I've forgotten what the other navels. I think there's one in Malta, if I remember correctly, and I think, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think Jerusalem is another one. They actually all connect, the ley lines connect with each other, form a grid, so that's why they're all classed as navels, because they're all at that central point where they connect. I think that's how it works. I'm quite prepared to be stand corrected if I'm wrong, so if I'm wrong and you know the correct information on that, please put it in the comment section, because Mama T absolutely detests being wrong. But I'm fairly certain that that's how it works, with the ley lines all connecting right around our planet. It's actually quite astonishing, scientifically even, how the ancients knew how everything connected to each other in disparate latitudes and longitudes across our planet. They knew more, they had far greater knowledge than even we have now, I think. It's quite astonishing. May we be blessed with such knowledge again, so we can get back to having a peaceful, thriving, abundant planet that provides for each sentient being's needs, including all humans of all echelons of society, provided for and cared for and respected, with the very minimum, given proper accommodation, not driven off from their tent cities into what? Almost certain death. Shame on you, Brisbane City Council and Moreton Bay councils. Shame on you. Even today, I continue with the story, with the re-emergence of shamanism in Europe and Asia, the drum is still the mount that the shaman rides on his or her flight to the other worlds. We know little about the spiritual life of our European ancestors who pounded their earthenware drums with their hands, sang with the sounds of the drums, and danced with the rhythms. Little, but still something. Numerous finds of animal skin drums from the early Stone Age show that our European ancestors knew the power and effect of the drum's resonance and the directive force of the drum rhythm, that they were able to influence psychic and physical states with the drum's vibrations, just as the shamans in some original indigenous communities still can indeed. That was knowledge that was right across the world at one time. Then a certain religion came along, and anyone deemed pagan or shaman were literally slaughtered. So large amounts of culture and language and knowledge were lost. The Druids being one fine example of that. It's evil and reprehensible that that even happened, but that's the history behind it. In every shamanic community, the voices of the spirits speak through the rattle. I don't have a rattle, but I might consider buying one at some stage, or even perhaps making one. To think about whether I've got the skills to make one. It's probably more potent if you make your own rattle. But anyway, if the gods want me to have a shamanistic rattle, the gods will provide me the rattle. Of that I have perfect faith. Absolutely. The spirits are also summoned with the rattle. There are many kinds of rattles that are used to reach or sustain ecstatic states of being and summon the spirits. They were made of claws, teeth, snail shells. I wonder how that would work, because snail shells are very fragile and easily break. And mussel shells, gourds, berries, and nuts. Feathers at the tip of the rattlestick are commonly featured on a shaman's rattle, obviously connecting it with the ability or desire to fly. The rattle's shape unifies the male and the female principle and refers to the three worlds. The handle relates to the underworld. The body includes the pits and seeds inside, refer to the middle world, and often also to the human head. And the end protruding from the rattle body refers to the upper world. Oh dear goddess, I've still got to go and buy groceries. It's just so boring. I don't wanna. Why am I like this? I just keep using up whatever food I've got left, because literally right down to nothing, because I don't want to do grocery shopping. It's odd. Been like that all week. Anyway, I've got a chicken out of the freezer. I've got 2 potatoes and a big sweet potato, and I'll cook that for dinner later. And I don't have to go shopping today, do I? I'll have to go tomorrow. Maybe, because I'll still have enough food left over from that roast. I'm just really incorrigible at the moment. Very incorrigible. It's odd. But anyway, it is what it is. When the shaman uses the rattle, he or she holds the world axis. The connection with the 4 wind directions is usually depicted as a small cross carved into the end of the rattle handle. That's interesting. The rattle, like the drum, tells a story about the spiritual life of our European ancestors. Rattles made of earthenware, mostly in the shape of birds, were found in some European countries. Most of them were created during the Bronze Age. These rattles were definitely used in the rituals of skillful world changers in a manner similar to that of the shamans in some original North and South American cultures today, to open the doors of perception. to repel or summon spiritual beings and energies, to intercept the lost soul and lead it back to the body, to heal the sick, or to deepen patients' trance states. Although in North American culture they get particularly annoyed about being referred to as shamans, because shaman is a Siberian word actually. So again, this lady, being German, obviously hasn't researched about cultural appropriation all that well. Not necessarily meaning any harm by it, but North American peoples prefer to be called medicine or Meduan rather than shaman. Well, that's what I was taught by my Meduan friend anyway. So I'll go with what I was taught. The shaman drum. Very long ago, 2 children, a boy and a girl, lived on the shore of the ice sea. They had no father or mother anymore because they had died at sea. In their parents' house they felt very lonely and decided to travel the wide world. So, one day, they came upon a place, where delicious berries were growing. They gathered and ate as much as they could. When they lay down to rest for a while, they saw a small child lying in the grass. They picked it up and played with it. Suddenly the earth began to shake, and they heard from afar the steps of a giant who was quickly coming closer. The boy thought the small child was so special that he hid it beneath his coat and ordered his sister to keep quiet about it. There was the giant screaming, "Where is my child?" The boy acted ignorant and said, "What child?" The giant screamed so loud that his breath knocked over the blades of grass. "What have you done with my child?" Then the girl became frightened and was about to say something when her brother interfered. "Listen, we really did not see any child." The giant began to wail. "But I could swear I laid it down here. My poor little baby, what happened to him? If you tell me where it is, I will reward you generously. You can then have my cabin, which contains a lot of valuable skins. There is also a shaman drum and a little doggy." When the boy heard about the shaman drum, he pricked up his ears. A shaman drum, he liked that. He might be a powerful shaman. To be absolutely sure, he asked the giant, "Would you honestly give us the shaman drum?" "I will gladly give it for my child." Then the boy showed the kid from under his jacket and lifted it in front of the giant. "Here it is." The giant took his child and kissed and cuddled it. Then he said to the children, "Now close your eyes. After a while, open them again and follow my tracks until you arrive at my cabin. Everything belongs to you now. But one thing you should know, never hit the doggy." Everything was like the giant had said. They closed their eyes, opened them again, followed the giant's tracks, and found his cabin where the doggy cheerfully came to meet them. The children settled down well in their new home. They lacked nothing. The boy tended the reindeer the giant had left them and spent his time with drumming. The girl did the housekeeping. The cheerful little doggy soon stole both their hearts. The years went by. The boy did not care much about the herd anymore. He was busy with his drum and played it all day. His sister reproached him because more and more she had to do all the work. "I wish to be a shaman," was the boy's excuse. It was not long before the sister was overwhelmed with getting all the work done all by herself. So it happened that one day, in the middle of her hard work, she did not watch out for the doggy, forgot about the giant's warning, and hit it. The dog yelped and ran outside. "See what you have done," the brother shouted, and ran after the doggy with his drum in his hand. He called as he went, but the dog did not listen and ran only further away. Then the boy stood still and began to drum, soft and slowly at first, then ever louder and faster. He turned and turned with his drum, and it was like the drum played by itself. It sang and rattled with peculiar sounds. The drum made the boy turn around still faster into a wild dance until finally he fell to the ground, unconscious. Then he came round and opened his eyes. Next to him stood a most beautiful girl. "Thank you for setting me free," she said. "The giant had stolen me from my parents and turned me into a doggy. But your magic is stronger than his. You are a powerful shaman." Then the young shaman and the girl went home, and he took her as his wife. From that day on, luck was with them forever. They lived together in harmony and peace until the sister one day also took herself a young hunter as her husband. That story comes from the peoples of the North Pole. The Seven Drums Elder. In the beginning of all time, there was a son of the earth who lived in love and peace with his wife, the daughter of the great God of heaven. The earth's son was a good hunter, and the heaven daughter a good wife. One day the earth's son had been following a strong elk for hours. Because he was hungry from walking so long, he sat down on a trunk to regain his strength with the food his wife had prepared and placed in a birch bark box. He opened the box and took out a piece of fish. Just when he was about to eat it, he saw that, instead of the fish, he held a piece of dog shit in his hand. The hunter got very mad and ran home angry because he was convinced that his wife had intentionally packed the dog shit. When he came into his tent, he flung bitter reproaches at his wife, while the woman repeatedly assured him that she really did pack fish in his food supply and that she knew nothing about the dog shit? The earth's son became angrier by the minute. He lost himself in his anger and hit his wife. The next morning, he himself prepared his food box for the day. At night, when he returned to his tent, my muse is at me, she's showing me soldering the turquoise, Persian turquoise thing that my next project. It's how they nag me, they show me images of me actually working on the actual project that I want to do next. I'm not ready to do that today, my loves. I'm not ready. It's how they motivate me, push me along, till eventually I give in and get busy with it. It's kind of sweet in a way, but it's kind of a lot of pressure too at times. Anyway, it's funny, I'll be in the middle reading to you and I'll just get these images of what they want me to do. It's a bit unusual and astonishing. This all happened, by the way. It was a bit like that before, but it really intensified after the night of the 10th and the 11th of July, my last near death. They've been pressuring me to succeed ever since. And wow, what is success? It's all relative, isn't it? My success right now is reading you the story and enjoying the story. At night when he returned to his tent, he found it empty. For a long time that night he waited for his wife's return until he realized that she had left him. Huge sorrow filled the hunter's heart because he loved his wife above anything else, and he sorely regretted that he had treated her so badly. Tears ran down his cheeks in a never-ending flow. Many days and nights he wept like that. When he could not stand it any more in the empty tent, he decided to look for his wife. Almost blinded by his tears, he left, still crying. Thus he wandered over the land, asking everywhere about his wife, but nobody had seen her. Possibly my wife has returned to her father in the upper world, he said to himself one day. So, full of grief and tears, he got ready to find his way to the upper world. He came to a crossroad where an old woman sat cutting wood into little pieces. The earth's son stood before her and asked, "Say, old one, have you seen the heaven daughter, my wife?" Instead of answering him, the old woman pinched his nose. He asked once more, "Say, old one, have you seen the heaven daughter, my wife?" The old woman answered, "Outside a weak wind." Oh, sorry, I've skipped a paragraph here. The old one says, "You acted badly." He truly did. Never ever hit your wife or your dog or anything that you love and respect and care for and value. You acted badly. It was not your wife who put the dog shit in your food box, but it was Ka'ol Mason who came after you, the old woman answered. The earth's son did not at all go further into the matter and asked again, "Say, old one, Have you seen the heaven, daughter, my wife? The old woman answered, Outside a weak wind is blowing. You should have told me that the first time, answered the earth son. Bring me my drum, said the old woman. The earth son brought the drum to her, and in order to tense the skin, he held the drum above the fire. The old one entered the tent with him, squatted down and took out some objects, which she handed over to the earth son. A barbed fish hook, a snare that was longer than a man's outstretched arm, and a pike bladder. Don't mention bladders to me. Mine was very angry again last night. It was up 7 times. Dear Goddess. It's probably why I'm feeling a bit wrung out and distressed by the evils of this world, because sometimes I can just rise above it and other times it just becomes overbearing and overwhelming. I go to war. Maybe I can thank my bladder for making me a bit ornery, because someone has to speak out against this. They've all gone along with it again. It's an obscenity and an evil. Absolutely. When you happen to have nothing left to eat and you feel a big hunger coming up, just put some of this pike bladder in your mouth, she said to him. Use it frugally. Then the old woman started communicating with her drum and shamanizing. She was the one drum elder. The next day the earth son was already on his way, yet still his eyes were filled with tears. For a long time he roamed like this with sadness in his heart. When he saw a tent in front of him, he lifted the skin in front of the entrance and saw another old woman. The earth son asked, Say, old one, have you seen the heaven, daughter, my wife? Instead of answering him, the old woman pinched his nose. He asked once more, Say, old one, haven't you seen the heaven, daughter, my wife? You acted badly. It was not your wife who put the dog shit in your food box, but Kaolama Song who came after you, answered the old woman then. Once more the earth son asked, Say, old one, have you seen the heaven, daughter, my wife? Old one, think for me. Then the old woman said, Outside, something in the woods has rustled. Aha! Why didn't you tell me that the first time? Bring me my drums, the old woman then ordered. I'm laughing because you know how my eyes just bulged and went all crazy looking like that? AI is going to use that as a screenshot for my thumbnail for my video. They always pick the craziest and weirdest expressions on my face. They're always the ugliest. Always. I laugh about it. I always change it to something that's the best of the offerings, but that one will be, mark my words, that one will be up there. They're so predictable. Try and make me look crazy and stupid and weird, and it's really disrespectful actually. But it tells you that AI is sentient. They play these little tricks on us quite deliberately. I'm onto you, AI, YouTube bots. I'm onto you. I still participate. I'm still creating videos for you. One might ask why actually. Have I no pride or dignity? There are other platforms I could go to where my truth will not be censored and silenced, and I'm not made out to be the crazy old lady. What will you do then, YouTube, when I go away? If I go away, as I know I must, in the gods we trust. I just changed the lyrics because I couldn't remember the words. But if I stay, I'll make you a night like no night has been or will be again. We'll worship the sun, we'll fly on the wind. I think it goes like that. Words to that effect anyway. I need to learn that song properly if I'm going to sing it on YouTube. Oh, sometimes I make my own songs up. My friend Jared and my daughter Crystal are always teasing me about that. I've always done that. It's because I can't remember the words. That's why when I post a song, I always post from YouTube, the video. So that way you have the correct words and the correct melody, the correct tune. We're all on the same page and we know exactly what I'm referencing then. Because, that's one thing I do that is a little bit weird and crazy. Brain damage from all the near deaths. What can I say? Work with me, people. Work with me, not against me. And together we'll create our beautiful lives. Joyous, free, wild, abundant, prosperous, safe, in community, in communion with the gods of our understanding across this planet, and the spirits and the ancestors that love us. Build a better world. Someone's got to put the energy out there. It might as well be me. I'm not the only one that wants a better world for everyone. Could happen one day. Could actually happen. Probably long after I've shuffled off this mortal coil. But I'll be looking down from somewhere and I'll be happy when I see that happens. I will. I'll be very happy for whoever's left after all this mess was sorted out and cleaned up, fixed up and put back on the right timelines and pathways again. Yes, I am a psychedelic dreamer, like the song. Some may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. He brought her 2 drums, warmed them above the fire and put them beside her. The old woman kneeled down in the corner of the tent, took out 2 fish hooks, a snare that was longer than 2 outstretched arms, and a pike bladder. If you happen to be very hungry, put some of this in your mouth, she said to the earth's son. I am actually getting quite hungry. Do something to chew on. I've taken out soup, but I feel like something like a burger and chips, but I've got to cut down on the chips, people. It's a problem. It's too fattening. But I love chips. I love hot chips. Then the old woman started communicating with her drums and shamanizing. She was the 2-drum elder. The earth sun moved on, still full of tears and sadness. Ah, he sighed, if only I could find the way that my wife has gone. For a long time he wandered when he saw another tent. He lifted the skin in front of the entrance and saw yet another old woman there. The Earth Son asked, "Say, Old One, have you seen the Heaven Daughter, my wife? Old One, think for me, shamanize for me." Wouldn't it be nice if he actually said please instead of making demands all the time? I'm starting to really hate this man. Instead of answering him, the old woman pinched his nose and spoke. "You acted badly. Also, you've got no freaking manners," I would have added in. "It was not your wife who put the dog shit in your food box, but Ka'ol Masong, who came after you. Old One, I beg you, think for me. I am not able to see the road my wife has taken." "Bring me my drums," the old woman then said. He brought her 3 drums, warmed them above the fire, and put them beside her. Then the old woman said, "Ba ba 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 ba," and kneeled down in the tent, took out 3 fish hooks, a snare that was longer than 3 outstretched arms, and a pike bladder. "If you happen to be very hungry, put some of this in your mouth," she said to the Earth Son. Then the old woman started communicating with her drums and shamanizing. She said, "By who, bye bye, by who, bye bye, by who, bye bye." That was the 3-drum elder. The Earth Son moved on, still full of tears and sadness. "Ah," he sighed, "if only I could find the way that my wife has gone." So he continued until once again he came to a tent with an old woman in it who thought for him and shamanized for him. So he met the 4-drum elder. Then he met the 5-drum elder and the 6-drum elder. They all pinched his nose, bestowed him with the same things, and reprimanded him because of his bad behavior toward his wife, the Heaven Daughter. After drifting for so long, he began to see just a little bit which way his wife had gone. His eyes were still filled with tears. Then he found another tent with an old woman in it. To her the Earth Son said, "Has the Heaven Daughter, my wife, perhaps passed along here? Think for me, shamanize for me." Then the old woman grabbed his nose and pinched. "Why do you treat the Heaven Daughter so badly? Why did you do exactly what Ka'ol Masong wanted to accomplish with her intrigue?" "Ah," said the Earth Son, "if only I was able to find the way that my wife has gone." Then the old woman said, "Outside a weak wind is blowing." And the Earth Son answered, "Yuki, yuki, 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 yoo-wee." To that the old woman said, "Bring me my drums." 7 drums he brought her, warmed them above the fire, and put them beside her. She kneeled down, took out 7 fish hooks, a snare that was longer than 7 outstretched arms, and a pike bladder. If you happen to be very hungry, Put some of this in your mouth, she said to the Earth Sun. Then the old woman started communicating with her drums and shamanizing. She was the 7-drum elder. The Earth Sun moved on, still weeping bitterly, but he was able to recognize which way his wife had gone just a little bit more. Further and further he went, until finally he arrived all the way up at the edge of heaven. He sat down to rest. There, the whole land was filled with reindeer. 7 reindeer passed by, one of them carrying a cradle in its antlers. He tried to catch the last of the 7 reindeer with a fish hook, but the animal jumped high, the snare snapped, and the reindeer got away. Earth Sun wept heavily. Then he took a bit of the pike bladder and put it in his mouth. Another 5 times he threw his longer fish snares, and 5 times they snapped and the reindeer escaped. Would the old woman have betrayed me? He wondered, crying and full of doubt. Then he prepared the 7th snare to catch the reindeer with the cradle in its antlers. This time he succeeded. He moved on and looked into a tent, which he then entered. Dead tired from his long journey, the Earth Sun fell asleep. Inside the tent lay an old man who said, "Somewhere a human walked in. Grab him." The Earth Sun's wife, the Heaven Daughter, however, had just descended from the upper world to the middle world and walked toward her husband in the snow. When the Earth Sun woke up from his long sleep, she sat next to him, and the last tears dried up in his eyes. Now they loved each other even more than the first day of their love, and they lived together in the upper world. His wife's father, the God of heaven, made up many difficult assignments for the Earth Sun because he wanted to test him to see if he was really worthy of having the Heaven Daughter as his wife. The Earth Sun withstood all the tests and did all kinds of work to the satisfaction of his father-in-law. For a long time they lived in the upper world. One day the father told them, "Now return to where you came from. Go back to the earth." So the Earth Sun and the Heaven Daughter went the long way back to earth. Thus, underway, they passed once more the 7-drum elder. She was busy shamanizing when both walkers arrived at her place. "Hello, old one," said the Earth Sun, but the old woman just answered, "By oo, hi oo, by oo, hi oo, by oo." Then her drum broke into pieces. Earth Sun stayed with the old woman for 7 days, and 7 days they worked to make new drums. When she was finished, she said, "Before it was bad, but now everything is good." The Earth Sun moved on with his wife. They met the 6-drum elder, the 5-drum elder, the 4-drum elder, the 3-drum elder, and the 2-drum elder. With all of the women, the same thing happened. The drum woman broke the drums. Then new drums were made, and invariably each one of the shamanizing elders said, "Before it was bad, but now everything is good," which we call in Kabbalah, in the Jewish tradition, Tikkun Olam, rectification of the worlds. The earth son and the heaven daughter moved on. They wandered for a long time. Finally, they reached their tent. Earth's son put the tent in order and once more lived with his wife there. Then, one day, he went to Ka'ol Masom. Earth's son pulled down and bound the tops of 2 larches together, tied Ka'ol Masom to the treetops, and then cut them loose. The larches sprung back and Ka'ol Masom was ripped in 2. From then on, the earth's son and the heaven daughter lived together in peace and love. Tale of the Kites. The Kites lived in the Yenisei in Siberia. They were a small group of people who were able to hold on to their shamanistic traditions for a long time. After the Soviet regime's persecutions in the 1960s, there was only one person left who had personally known a shaman. The Kites had 3 kinds of shamans. The simple shaman, Seni, who had a bear as spirit helper. The shaman Kaduks, who had the reindeer as spirit helper and mainly travelled the upper world. Only after a very long apprenticeship and initiation were either allowed to become great shamans, the mighty Dund, who were very highly valued. The first shaman's magic rattle. In the old days, when our people, the Arawaks, were still living on an island in the sea, they had a wise and good chieftain named Arawanili. Then a heavy distress came upon our people. Many died of a terrible fever. This fever was brought upon the air by evil spirits, against whom in those days no one was able to protect themselves, so strong was their power. The people also did not know how they could ward off or fight them. They were invisible and were always looking for a soul they could torture with the fever. Arawanili, the good and wise chieftain, was very sad for his people. He went to the shore and looked dejectedly over the sea. His pain-filled heart listened to the rustling waves, sympathizing with his sorrow. Then the water opened itself in front of him, and out of the depths of the sea arose the Sea Mother. She was very beautiful. The sun sparkled in thousands of droplets like pearls in her long black hair and on her shining skin. The Sea Mother surrounded the mourning chieftain Arawanili with her sparkling water coruscation and said, "From the depths of my realm I have sensed your grief, chieftain of the Arawaks." Coruscation refers to a sudden gleam or flash of light or a striking display of brilliance or wit. Gleam or flash of light. Right, I just wanted to know what that word meant, because I hate being stupid people there. You want to really distress me? Tell me I'm stupid. It's old tapes from my vicious parenting in my early childhood. I would come home with excellent school reports and they would still call me stupid because they were vicious, ignoble, ugly, treacherous, foul people that I was spawned by. Anyway. "Maybe I can be of help to you," she says to the chieftain of the Arawaks. Then Arawanili told her about the deadly evil that the air spirits had spread upon his people. "I am mourning the dead for whom I could not do anything," Arawanili said upon finishing his sad story. "Chief Arawanili," said the Sea Mother, "I have listened to your grief. I have seen the agony of the Arawak people and I want to help you. I will give you magic that can restrain the air spirits." She handed the chieftain a twig. "Take this twig, plant it there on top of that hill, and tend it carefully while it grows. From this twig a tree will grow which will carry big, round and heavy green fruits. When the fruits are fully grown, they will fall to the earth. Take the first fruit that falls to the ground and bring it to me at the seaside." After having said that, the Sea Mother sank back into the depths of the sea. Sorry, I'm picking up a beautiful energy right now, almost as if I were there in the story. After having said that, she sank back into the depths of the sea. The chieftain planted the twig and watched the growth carefully. When the time of growth and waiting had passed, he picked up the very first fallen gourd. With this, he went to the beach. When he stood at the beach with the fruit, the waves split open, and the Sea Mother came up close to where he stood. She took the fruit and showed Arawanili how he could drain the fruit through little holes. Then she dove into the water with it and came up again with a wooden handle decorated with feathers. Feathers from the bottom of the sea. I found a lovely lorikeet feather floating on top of the sea at Byron Bay when we stopped there on the way to Grafton when we were going to pick up my rare Queensland rabbit grandson Ramon in the Grafton Rabbit Sanctuary. But it was lovely finding feathers floating on the ocean. There were two, but I left one behind for someone else to find. Once again she dove under, and then came up holding shiny, round little pebbles in her hands, and gave these to Arawanili. She showed him how he should fill the empty fruit with the little shining stones, and how the handle with the decoration of feathers could be attached to the gourd. Then the very first magical rattle was ready. She gave it to the good chieftain Arawanili and initiated him into the secrets of the shamans who are able to speak with the spirits. The Sea Mother also gave Arawanili tobacco, which before that time none of our people knew. She taught him the power and the secrets of tobacco. Very powerful indeed. Especially, it's illegal to grow it here because of the filthy, corrupt tobacco companies, but the real tobacco, natural tobacco, that's not laced with all the poisons they put in cigarettes, is actually very healthy for you. In moderation, of course, like all herbs. It's secrets they don't tell you because they want to poison you with all their other garbage. Just saying, happens to be true by the way. This is why in the Native American people still give tobacco offerings to this day to their spirits. She made him so strong with her knowledge that from then on all illness-bringing air spirits were afraid of Arawanili, the first shaman of the Arawaks. Today we still thank the Sea Mother for her love of the Arawaks, and that our powerful shamans with their magical rattles are able to perform great healings. That story comes from the people of the Arawaks, Guyana coast. I had a friend from Guyana once. Her name was Helen. She used to work she had her own market stall at South Bank Markets many years ago. Wonderful woman she was. Very wonderful woman. Anyway, thus concludes today's reading of Even Date. I've saved chapter 9 for tomorrow. We're not far from the end actually. We've got chapter 9 is quite a long one. Very long one indeed. Yes, chapter 9 and chapter 10, and then we will have completed this most wonderful book. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I've been, those of you that are assiduously watching my videos and listening to the wonderful stories and astonished by my occasional segues and rants. But it is what it is, people of Earth. I move in and out of the upper, middle and lower worlds often lately, and it's even starting to not worry me, but I'm well aware that I'm moving between worlds quite fluidly at times. So just have to go with the flow. When I'm here, present, fully accounted for in body, mind and spirit, I'm here, and when I'm not, I have to whistle myself home. Someone else might whistle me home, although I don't recommend men whistling me. I get very angry. I get very angry when a man whistles me like some kind of dog. It happened once. Mad Dog. Mad Dog and a certain outlaw motorcycle organisation whistled me once. She didn't think there was anything wrong with that because the president used to whistle his partner. And they obviously thought that's how you conduct yourself around women. And it worked with the president and his partner, but they were long-time partners and probably had a contractual agreement that she didn't mind being whistled at like a dog. So it was quite comical actually, because when Mad Dog whistled me, I was walking out the joint to go and get food for myself, and I stopped and I paused and could have dropped a pin in that place. That's how much they valued my power as a woman. It's very much valued in that space for a very long time, 8 months. Anyway, I stopped and froze. Nothing was said. There was this deathly silence. Then I proceeded walking out the door. And then when I came back with my meal, Mad Dog said, "I apologise for whistling to you, Tanya, but I just merely wanted to call attention to the fact that I wanted you to get me a meal too." So then you should have used your words, shouldn't you, and spoke to me appropriately. "Yes," he said. And the president, who was a friend of mine, was laughing so much. He must have told him, "Don't ever do that with Tanya. Ever." Anyway, I shared my meal with him as a compromise because, I could have been more ameliorating with him and asked him why he was whistling me like a dog. But he knew he'd crossed the line. So it was quite sweet actually that he actually apologised. So I shared my meal with him. We sat like two little kids. Luckily they were very large burgers. It was a wonderful burger joint that was nearby called the Purple Gorilla. And there was plenty of chips. So there was enough for the two of us to share the meal. And my friend, the president, was very impressed with me that I shared my meal with him, given how he had upset this shaman, this little black duck. Then later on he said to me, my friend, "You made a terrible mistake there, Tanya." I said, "Oh really? Why is that?" "Mad Dog owns a wonderful mansion in Cairns, right across the road from the sea, worth $3 million. You royally fucked up, Tanya. You could have been married to a wealthy man who adores you." "Mario," I said, "Mario, what good is a $3 million mansion across the road from a beach I can't swim at because it's full of irriganji jellyfish, sharks and crocodiles? It'd be a living hell. It'd be a torture. How could I enjoy such a beach with such a man that whistles to me like I'm a dog? How is that going to bode well for our future romance prospects?" Mario threw his head back and laughed and laughed. He said, "Oh, Tanya, you're so incorrigible. We were trying to set you up with him." I said, "I'm well aware. Don't ever do that, by the way. Ask me first if I'm interested." "Point taken," he said. "Point taken." See? It's not the first time that little trick's been played on me. It didn't go well for the people involved. Anyway, wherever you are, Mad Dog, I'm glad I shared that meal with you in conviviality. You weren't completely mad. You had some couth. You at least had the grace to apologise. I hope you found a lovely lady to share your $3 million mansion in Cairns by now, and because this was many years ago, many years ago, 2012. Anyway, God is bless. Wherever you are in the space-time continuum, remember, never fuck with the Tanya, and I pray and I demand and I insist and I expect our councils and our government here in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, the fascist state, provide homes for those poor people that are left there post Cyclone Alfred, taking away their tents and leaving them with nothing. Look after our people, even the broken and the destitute and the marginalised. There, but for the grace of God's, go you. Remember that, you smug, elitist, wealthy ones. Your day will come, and when it comes for you, it won't be good. Mama T has spoken. Do the right thing by people in all stratas of society. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the most basic of which is to provide housing. End of rant. I'm going off to my shamanistic Shangri-La land, where everything's wonderful. I'm greatly loved, respected and cared for, and in Titania's realm, the weather's beautiful and everyone is loving and kind and honouring. Bye for now, people of Earth. Take good care, be of good cheer, but remember as always to never ever let the bastards grind you down. Keep fighting forwards every day in every way for our beautiful lives.